Hey guys, welcome back to Pod of War. To almost 5 years to the day since episode 1, we're back. It's myself, UF Gizmo, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the shining light behind him. It's Massive Dash, Chris Mangeli.
Hello, everyone.
So Pengi, it's been years. What's going on?
Yes.
I got a beard now. We don't
I
live in the same town anymore.
I still can't grow a beard, so you know.
Yeah, you still look about 12. It's good.
Yeah.
We've almost got production values as well. Look at this, a background here. We've both got our own little webcams. You can't see any of this. You'll have to wait for the VOD, and hopefully all the audio's good. Because if it's not, this is going to be fun. Hopefully. But so this is Pod of War. This is a podcast me and Chris have done on and off for half a decade now. Chris, how does that feel? Half a decade.
I know. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable,
Jeff.
Yeah.
And I watched episode 1 earlier just to get prepared for this, and some of the predictions, some of the foresight in that episode is pretty funny. There's also I remember it having like a full video, but for some reason on the VOD on your channel is like a video for about 10 seconds in the middle, and then there's nothing, just darkness. So I don't know what happened, but anyway, that's 5 years ago, and this is coming onto my channel, so we hope to do this every week. But we'll see how, because we've said this before.
Yeah.
We're a very committed bunch of people, but we figured we might have found a slot. So first of all, Chris, how are you?
I'm good. So very good.
2020 hasn't been great, let's be honest, but we're in 2021 now, so we're gonna move on and be positive. Obviously, I've known Chris for like 6-7 years now. Weirdly, it's flown by. I know you miss me terribly, Chris, because I don't live in Somerset anymore. But here we are. This is the best we can do in this pandemic.
Yeah, you and your tier 3.
I don't know. So I live in the city, so I won't be specific. But somehow I'm in a lower tier than Chris, who lives in the country at the moment. But that's got to change, right? So how has obviously your 2020's been pretty crap, like everyone's. But I know it's not been great, but we're going to try and be positive now, Chris, because we're going to talk about video games.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good.
Video games are good. Video games are cool. So this is like not planned at all. So we're just going to do an episode. We talk about 2020's games, and we're going to talk about, probably more likely, we'll just talk about the generation of games. Yeah. Obviously we're at the start of a new generation now, and for the sake of this conversation, I class last generation as the PS4, the Xbox One, the Wii U, 3DS. And the Vita.
Yes, I would.
There's PC games as well, but neither of us play anything apart from Football Manager, so we won't worry about
that. PC is such a weird one. Like, I quite often see, like, if anyone does like top 20 or 25, they do for that PC. They do like, this is the modern 25, and this is like the classic 25. I don't know where you would cut off.
It'd be Football Manager 2010 to Football Manager 2020 in it. That's the top 10. So
yeah. Yes.
Whatever. And obviously we're not including the Switch, not because it's not really this gen, it's purely because we haven't really played the Switch a lot, me and Chris. Like really, like for me, like this year is probably the year I'll play the Switch more than I've done the last 2020 years.
2021 is the year of the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been playing we'll talk about it next, but I've been playing Fire Emblem now. I didn't play it in 2019. I've got a massive list of games, like maybe in the next episode I'll get them out and show everyone. I've got a huge backlog of games. But so we're going to include these to the last gen. The reason I'm including the Vita and the 3DS is because we talked about the Vita on the previous incarnation of Pod of War, like every week. It was like the thing. So especially when I was watching that first episode, it was very apparent to me how much Vita that me and you played. Like we really did bang that drum.
There's one of my Vitas.
Yeah, mine's actually charging because I was going to play Adventures of Mana because I'm trying to get into the Mana series. So I was like, I forgot I've got Adventures of Mana on the Vita. So yeah, first of all, Chris, what have you been playing sort of around Christmas and sort of now in January 21?
Most of December, I played a lot of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. December, Call of the Sea came to the Game Pass. So middle of December, I played that. A bit of Football Manager 2021, the Xbox edition, but I've been playing it on PC, not on Xbox. I just don't really like playing it on the console.
It doesn't run. It's not great on console.
So yeah, a bit of that. I've actually played some. I started last night the Gears 5 Hive Buster DLC. That's pretty good.
I'm told it's beautiful. I'm told it looks real good.
It does look really good. but I would be like kind of annoyed. Obviously, to get it's part of Game Pass Ultimate, you get the Highbuster DLC. If you haven't got Ultimate, you have to still buy it. It's like 15 quid, and that's just not that expensive. But
No.
but the weird one is like even doing the first chapter, that's just chapter one, not even finishing the DLC. Only 2% have got that achievement. I'm like, why has no one played this? It just because it's pretty good and it's sort of free. Was in game, like I said, Game Pass Ultimate, which honestly a lot of people got. So that I think some more people should be check that out. That's about it, really. I've been playing sort of like the last month. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has basically been take up most of my time, so I wanted to get that finished because it's quite a long game before I move on to like Immortals or Yakuza or something, another long game instead of having two of them played side by side.
Yeah, so I've kind of fallen into that trap because I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla as well, and I'm about 65 hours in. I think I've got about 10 hours left, but I played it quite a lot and I've really enjoyed it. But now I've started playing Fire Emblem because I've been playing my Switch sort of like on the sofa, like because obviously my girlfriend's been off at work. So yeah, so because I picked up, I mentioned it on the forum on a GNamer forum. If people don't know where we're from, that's where this originally came from. That I picked up the Hori Split Pad Pros a couple of months ago, like 6 months ago, and that's just changed how comfortable it is. So I've been like playing more Switch games on the sofa while I'm watching something else. So I've kind of fallen into the fire. I think I've played 11, 12 hours of Fire Emblem this week.
Yeah,
cool. And I've been working, so it's not like I've been off. But really enjoying that. Valhalla's great. It's just kind of I don't know. I really like. I think it's like for me, it's like an 8. It's like a really good game, but it is the same. You do the same thing for 60 hours. Like there's a couple of really cool set pieces, and like other than that, it's like cool. I go to this area. There's this almost identical political turmoil. I go this. I do a siege. You know what I mean? It's like okay, it's cool. Like it's a good game. It's like it's probably the best Assassin's Creed I've played personally. Like I really like Black Flag, but this is like a different type of game. But yeah, it kind of got boring for me.
Yeah, I agree. I got to about 40, 45 hours in. Had like 2 regions to go in England, and then a few of the others. I was like, this is like getting too samey. And that obviously I did finish it, and I've done. That's why I actually was playing it yesterday. I've done all the regions now. Nice. So all I would have to do really is do all the Order of Assassins, not Order of Assassins, whatever they are. The Order of Ancients. I knew it was A. I couldn't think.
Yeah, you're almost there. You were close.
That's all I would have. Obviously, is like find all the treasure and all the artifacts and all that collectible stuff. But
don't do collectibles, not anymore.
But yeah, it would just be the Order of Ancients. That's the only thing I would have left to do. But then I was like, yeah, I've had enough. I've played this game for like 63 hours, done the story. And even that, only like 9% of people that have played it have got like the achievement for like finishing the story, which seems
it's
not
long.
many.
You have to really. I think you probably need 50 hours just if you just mainline the game. I think you probably still need 50 hours. I like or close to because it's not particularly. Like from what I can tell, like everything doesn't really feel optional unless you start doing like the map stuff. Like each of these regions, apart from Finland, like seems pretty, and like the ones I'm not going to mention, the cool ones. You know the cool ones I'm about.
Yeah.
Like everything else seems pretty pretty needed apart from that. So but yeah, like I said, I've been playing that as well. I enjoy it. It's been the game I've played. So I picked up a Series S. An Xbox Series S, and you've picked up. Obviously, we're going to talk about your next gen adventure in a minute. Actually, I think that's worth its own little section. But
sure.
Yeah, so it's pretty good on the Series S. So yeah, for Gears, I haven't played it yet. I'm going to play it with friends. And like I said, I think the value is amazing for what it is. Like so, what it seems to me is about a 3 to 4 hour campaign. If I'm about right, I'd say.
Yeah.
So was it? I think it's 16. Is it £16 if you want to buy it on its own?
Yeah.
Obviously, so Craig isn't in the middle here because I know Craig would have a lot to say to wind you up about it, but he's not here.
Yeah.
So we won't make the jokes. But like if you've got Game Pass, you've got Game Pass Ultimate, right? Like unless you're playing on PC, like you've got. Yeah. I think PC. Like I know people that have just got PC because that makes sense and it was cheaper. Yeah. But like if you've got an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X and you've got Gold, you might as well just get Game Pass because it's not that much difference really for what you get.
No.
Like.
Then you can always find a deal. Like I got.
I haven't paid for it for a year.
I
How
think I
big
got
for you?
3 months. I think it was 3 months no, it was 6 months.
It was
'Cause it
6 months
till
for it's
July.
3 months free. It's usually
Yeah,
what
it
they
was
do, isn't
six.
it? You get.
I no, I got 6 months for £20 when I bought my Series X from
Oh,
Amazon. So
okay. Yeah. I got the same for a controller, and they had
yeah, I had
so
that
the
deal as
added
well,
EA
but
Play. Oh,
mm,
go on.
I got that deal as well, but I never bought a controller because I had the blue one coming for Christmas and didn't want a white one. So
I got a white and a blue. My girlfriend had stolen the white one for her new One X One S
mm,
that she has. So, but
mm,
yeah, I am. So they added EA Play, and when they added EA Play, they sort of added, if you already bought EA Play, they kind of gave you time, and I just renewed.
mm,
So I think I got
yeah,
like I haven't got paid till October. So
nice. Yeah.
if I play 2 games this year, it's ridiculous value for me.
Mm,
Pardon me. And I think really Game Pass has been one of the big winners for this gen, but
yeah.
at the end of the gen. Obviously, we'll talk about that more when we talk about the Xbox, really. But yeah, so let's talk about Chris's next gen journey. So my next gen journey is much quicker, so we'll do mine. So I pre-ordered a digital PS5. I changed
Yes.
my mind purely because they announced that the games I wanted were coming to PS4, and I didn't really feel financially secure at the time, which is funny because about a month later my finances are much better. But at the time I was like, do I really want a PS5, and do I really want a PS5 now? And so I decided against it. I managed to get a Series S pretty late in the day, £250. It does absolutely everything I want it to do because I don't have a 4K setup at the moment. I have a big sort of 1080p screen.
Mm,
It's not got enough memory, but for how I'm using it at the minute, it's fine. I'm not the type of person to have 10, 20 games installed. I have, you know what I mean? Like, I know you've got hundreds, and my friend Pete has
yeah.
hundreds as well. And Pete's been on the channel,
Mm,
and he's the same. Craig has like 2 games ever installed because he plays a game and beats it. But like, I literally have FIFA installed to play with my friends. I know FIFA. Like Assassin's Creed because I'm playing that, and then like I don't know what else I've got installed, like Gears 5, and even Gears
yeah.
you can choose what you install now. So
Mm,
yeah, but that's my next gen journey. It's been very straightforward, no
yeah.
real issues. Now Chris, if you want to talk the viewers through your next gen adventure so far.
Mine was straightforward as well. I was just getting a PS5 at launch because those PS4 games you mentioned, like Miles, Sackboy, and stuff. Yeah, sure, I can still play them on PS4, but if I'm going to play them, want them to look as good as
And
like
crucially, you do
possible.
have a big setup, don't you? That's the thing. This is the
Yeah.
difference. Before, like I'm very much not a like
Mm,
graphics guy. Like you have a nice
yeah.
TV. So you're
Yeah.
wearing the 3D headphones now, aren't you? So you want all of
Yeah.
the new tech, which is
Yeah, and
understandable.
I've even like been looking at like upgrading my TV, for
Let's get
instance.
OLED.
So yeah, um, so mine was quite simple. Okay, I'm gonna play these games. They're gonna look better. They're gonna use the Dual Sense and stuff, which is actually quite cool. Is really cool from what I've played. So I had my PS5. Obviously, I'm still gonna get an Xbox at some point, but when there's a few more games out for it. So my PS5 arrived, set it all up like you do. You have an option to download your cloud saves from PS4. So here's my 400 PS4 games, all my saves backed up, ready to go, downloaded, started Astrobot, and it crashed. After like 10 minutes, it went back to like the new dashboard, which is actually really nice as well. Went back and okay, it's like, okay, this is weird. So I went back, started Astrobot again because it's pre-installed. Spider-Man's downloading in the background, installing in the background. Just take us this version, and does the same. So go on the troubleshooting thing for Sony, and it goes like, it's one of the issues. You just need to do a factory reset. Okay, it's odd. It's new. Why would you have to factory reset it? So do that. Still doesn't work. Ring Sony. It's like a 2-hour queue because obviously this is launch day. This is like 5 o'clock in the night. For instance, mine didn't turn up to like 12 o'clock, 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, sort of thing. Speak to them and like, oh, I need to put it in safe mode and do the reset through that. To do that, still nothing, still crashes. So that, bring them again, and basically got nowhere with them. And every game, so I tried Astro, Bugsnax, which downloaded the only disc that it would install was Miles Morales, because when you set it up and everything, you want to download, install a disc in the background while it's setting up. So the only disc that would like accept would be whichever one you had in the disc drive at the time, which is Miles Morales, and that was unfortunately the only game I managed to play because it only crashed on that like 3 times, and that's obviously still not acceptable. Like 3 times in like a 6-7 hour game, it's still not great. Yeah, so had to contact Shop 2 who I bought it off, which were pretty good. They sent it back, they refunded right away. There's a bit of a cock up with the postage because they thought I wanted to return it, not that it was faulty. So I had to pay for postage, which they did refund me. So I bought Super Mario 3D All Stars. Obviously, I got a refund. I saw a Series X available on Amazon. I do game sharing as someone, and they bought a Series X itself and had Valhalla, which obviously played a digital Call of Duty, Bright Memory, which is actually one of the few Series X only games. So they had them.
It's
I thought,
terrible as well.
yeah. I thought, okay, I've got these 3 games I can play. I can actually get a Series X. I've got this 450 quid back. Let's just like get one. So basically, I have a Series X now and not a PS5.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It sucks. So me and you between us have done a lot of launches, even for the 5 years we've been doing the show. Where we've picked up a lot. We've bought a lot of consoles, haven't we? Like we can both admit that. And we get, you get the piss taken out of you for it, and so do I. But it's pretty bad when you spend. The problem with the PS5 really, it's not even the money. It's that you can't get one. So like you're a PlayStation guy. You want the PlayStation. It's next gen. It's different. I understand. I completely understand. Again, we take the piss out of you for it, but I do understand. And it's like, right, I've got it. It doesn't work. Cool, right? Well, you normally be able to replace it. You just can't. And obviously, Sony aren't able to provide you with a one-to-one swap. Shop 2 on either. And it's like, right, the fact that they couldn't repair it was for me would be like, come on, guys! Like this console's just come out.
Yeah, it's really weird because, like I said, I think I rang them like 4 times, and every time I spoke to someone on there, they didn't like really know. I guess it obviously just come out, but they didn't really know anything. Like the one guy, like I said, the first one is like obviously reading off like a script or something, so you tell them you've done that, and they're like, okay. But the weird thing, obviously, I'm in the UK, so UK, because I've seen video someone had one in Canada. And basically, they sent him a new console right away, and then 2 days later, they sent him a box for his old one to go back, basically. And they had letters saying, gamers should play, blah blah blah. And I've seen someone as well in the States recently, basically similar thing, but with a PS4 at launch, because they saw what I was talking about PS5. They did the same. They sent him a console and then sent the new old one like back after. Apparently, Google and Apple do that. And it sounds like Sony did
Google
the same,
are pretty good for it. Like I've from the year that we've been spending in the Stadia community, I know that Google replaced stuff pretty quickly. And to be fair, any problems I've ever had with Xbox are the same. I think it really is because the Sony Europe, first of all, the Sony Europe brand aren't great, and I suspect Shop 2 probably doesn't help. I think if it's an Amazon or like you bought it directly from Sony, they'd be able to do it. But anyway, that's Chris's next gen story. Obviously, we'll start the hashtag justice for Chris and see if we can see how long it takes Chris to get a PS5. I'm going to say this now. I'm not buying a PS5 this year, so you can quote me on this. There'll be a forfeit if I do, but I'm not buying one.
Yeah.
Like I'll do what I did last time. If I get a PS5, it'll be next year or the year after. As soon as there's like a couple of games I want, and to be honest, I think I'm more likely to buy a PS4 Slim that's not as loud, because you've heard my PS4. It's awful. Like I've got a base PS4 that I bought in 2015, just before we started the show, which is madness. And I'm wearing an Xbox hoodie now, so it doesn't matter. But so that's the future, Chris. So we're gonna go back to the past. Now.
With the PS5, obviously, I still own some games. I own Sackboy, Demon's Old, and Miles. Basically, going to wait until like the 7 more. So Returnal.
They just look at you, looking at you lovingly in the corner of your room.
Yeah. So basically, as soon as there's Returnal, Ratchet, Horizon, God of War, there's 4 I've named off the top of my head. Final Fantasy 16, there's 5. So 2 more.
And plus, the crucial bit is you don't have a PS4 anymore.
No.
You sold your PS4 to buy the PS5. So that's really the difference between me and you. Is like I can happily wait. Like I've got so many games to get through that I can there isn't really anything I'm going to run out to buy, and I can't. And precisely, I can't run out and buy a PS5 because there isn't any. There isn't any
Okay.
PS5s. There's barely any Xboxes, and they're easier to get hold of. But anyway, the past. Let's screw the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, as I'm calling it, and it should be the Xbox Series X, by the way. That's what they should be called. That should be the market, and we're not even going to worry about the Switch. As fun as it is now, we're not going to worry about it. So, last generation, Chris, probably one of my favorites. I'm going to be honest.
It's
And
pretty
it's
good
weird
generation.
because obviously I love the Wii U. We both of us bought every console.
Yeah.
Near enough launch, so whatever. We won't bother telling the stories. We've told the stories about how me running down the road in my pajamas to get my Wii U.
Oh yeah, everyone runs down the road to get their Wii U's.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a man of great taste. So we're just gonna sort of maybe we'll go console by console.
I am just going to. If you're wondering what I'm doing on screen, I am plugging my laptop into charge. And now I'm back.
Chris is nothing but professional. He's got his George.com PlayStation hoodie. Am I right, Chris?
Yes,
I've got my official Xbox hoodie, which was a lot more expensive, I suspect.
I have got my Xbox hoodie. There's the.
It's so funny. So I'm wearing I'm wearing PlayStation pajama bottoms with a PlayStation T-shirt on, and I've got my Xbox hoodie over the top because it's cold. But so we'll go. I think we'll talk PlayStation first.
Okay.
So we'll talk PS4 first because Vita's our favourite. So we'll save that for later. So the PS4, I got PS4 in 2015. And I would say, so we'll talk about our favourite-ish games. Like my favourite game on the PS4 is probably comfortably Horizon Zero Dawn. I think this is the generation that the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation in general has become the third-person action platform. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair thing to say. Maybe at the cost of some other stuff, personally, and we'll maybe talk about it. But I think they seem, from what I've seen so far, the PS5, they're sort of fixing the problem I had with the PS4. So heads up for Sony. But I think Horizon Zero Dawn for me is a very special game. Because I don't like open world games particularly, but that game just it's first of all, it's gorgeous, right? Like, you're not expecting it to be gorgeous, but it's gorgeous. You've got a studio like Guerrilla who've made Killzone in the past, and I like the Killzone games, but they never really move the needle, right?
Yeah.
That's fair to say. And then to have a character like Aloy and the story that the Horizon Zero Dawn tells through its main story and its DLC of this kind of like
I've still not played first.
If you're not, it's really, when you get your PS5 back, I really recommend doing it because I'm sure it'll be, because obviously it'll run a lot better on PS5.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be beautiful as well on the upsampling and stuff. But it tells a story that's fascinating. It's a fascinating sci-fi story of what happened. Like, why is it like? So when you get the revelation of what has happened, why it's happened, it's crazy. It's really cool, and I think maybe the last boss isn't as good as it could be, but I didn't mind it. Frozen Wilds it fixes all of that problems. I think it's the most manageable open world game for collectibles I've ever played. I enjoyed getting the collectibles in that game. Which usually you don't. Like, they tell you a story. Like, each of the mugs you pick up has some cool little. Usually they're a PlayStation in joke anyway. Like, I think there's some Kojima ones, right, and there's some Killzone ones and stuff, and all that kind of good stuff. And I think it was just one of those games that I think it's 2017, right? That came out. Like, it also came out while we were doing the show.
I think
originally, and we were both really hyped for it, and
it was the same year. It was the same year as the Switch came.
Breath of the Wild.
2017.
Yeah, it was 2017.
Yeah.
Because that was the comparison. You hate Breath of the Wild. We might talk about it because I played it on Wii U, but I liked it, and it's not even close to me for Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn is sort of the pinnacle of PlayStation for me this year, this gen. Sorry. So how about you, Chris? What is probably your favorite PlayStation game of the gen, and will I roll my eyes at it?
It's a hard one because there is so many good games.
They have had a good gen. Like, for all the piss I take of the PlayStation, which is mostly to wind you up, like, it has had a very good generation.
It's not actually a first party game, but it is exclusive, and it's mostly Persona 5.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be exclusive or anything. It can be anything. But yeah, Persona 5. So again, before I let you talk about Persona 5, going back and watching episode 1, it's really funny to me how excited I was for Persona 5 because I've not got close to completing that game. I'm like 20 hours in. I've tried twice, and I need to do it. This year I need to beat Persona 5, even if it means I have to buy Royal. I need to finish Persona 5. But talk about Persona 5. And I presume you're going to talk about really the main game because you didn't finish Royal in the end.
No, I only got to about. I think I got about 7 hours in. I almost finished the first palace. The problem with Persona 5 Royal is most of its new content is at
the end.
It is at the end. So obviously they've changed the combat system slightly quicker. You have like a grapple hook. Like the first palace is slightly different as well. You do see the new character a couple of times where I've got to, and one of the new sort of like side things. He's like a psychologist or something like that in the school. Like a school, I just about seen him. The problem with it really is it's 120-hour games, and most of it, like 100 of the 120 you've already played, and there's a lot of time to put in the games. Like going back to like Assassin's Creed, okay, that's like 50, 60 hours. I could play 2 Assassin's Creeds at the same time as Persona 5. That's really the only issue. Like the first time I played it, obviously it was brand new, so it's like fine playing that much of a game. But it's like even like Wind Waker is my favorite game of all time, but I've not finished the HD version on Wii because like I've played this so many times. Or Wind Waker, obviously played more than once. And it's like I've played this game so many times. It's like I could be playing something not played before. And that's the real problem, really, with Royal. It would have been cool if it was DLC for like Persona 5, like the last, or you could carry your save.
I feel like it should have been DLC.
Or you could have carried
your time. I have a feeling.
Or you could carry your save over, but then you can go right. Obviously, it's because obviously the first one is like a PS3 game ported to the PS4, but this is actually made for the PS4, so it's got better like resolution, frame rate, all that stuff. And like I said,
so maybe if they'd had like a New Game Plus where you got like you got like a social boost or something if you played Persona 5 or something of an incentive to push you along playing the same content again.
You do get like some gear or something at like the start and that if you've played it before, but it's like, and also it's like one of those games, it's in my collection. I'm not really going to trade it in, so I can go back to it at any point. But
when
yeah,
you get PS5.
yeah, basically when I get a PS5 I can go back to it. So that's the other thing to it. Like I've still got Persona 5 the regular Persona 5 as well. So, like, if I wanted to go back and
Persona 5, Chris? Is that...
yes. Like, I have a lot of Persona games now, and I have like all of them on like the PlayStation 4. Like, obviously, you have the 2 Dancing ones as well, and Catherine is sort of related to Persona.
Yeah, Catherine's an Atlas. It's the Atlas and just the Persona engine for Atlas. And
it's in the
Tensei games this year, aren't we?
Yeah, it's in the same year. So I'm like, because I've played, I know a lot of people, I doubt anyone's going to listen to this, it'd be diehard Shin Megami Tensei fans. But obviously there's always that like bit of conflict. So obviously for playing Persona now, Golden and 5, a bit of 3 as well. Like I'm excited for Shin Megami Tensei 3, HD and 5. Obviously 5 is only on Twitch.
I think you'll hate Nocturne. It's so hard. I played it back in the day. It was called Lucifer's Call over here, and it's hard as hell. But maybe they've made it a little bit easier, or maybe it's because I'm better at those games now than I was.
I know they changed them slightly because I have like one on 3DS, and it is more Persona like, because I always thought of them as like dungeon crawlers. But this like what I've got.
The mainline games are very because I think Nocturne it might technically be a spin-off. I'm not sure. I feel like it is, but I might be wrong. But like the combat is like Persona, but it doesn't have the like social stuff really. It's kind of like dark, and it's cool. You'll like it.
I think I've seen what I've seen of Shin Megami Tensei 5. It does look like it's got a bit of that social aspect, and it's just
it's school days
darker in tone. It's darker in tone, but because it's demons instead of like I can't even remember. Well, instead of personas,
So that's again the future. It's this 2021. So Persona 5, obviously one of the PS4 games for you. Trying to think of another one. So like I played a lot of surprising games on the PS4. I really enjoyed. Obviously, Uncharted ended on the PS4, like in terms of like the arc that they were doing. And I think that the Uncharted 4 in particular is a game that's often forgotten about. weirdly, because I think it's. I mean, I remember again when we started the show, it was just about to come out, and it's very nostalgic about the show. But like that game at the time for me was the absolute pinnacle of
Yeah,
the
it's
single
weird.
player linear experience. You know.
It's weird we forget because that game is quality. It's weird that gets forgotten amongst all the other
I think it's because
PlayStation
it's
games.
not as what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as, this is going to sound bad because it's just the only word I can think of. It's not as pretentious as say The Last of Us 2 or Death Stranding, maybe even Detroit Become Human.
Which is two of my favorite PlayStation 4 games in the
Yeah,
past.
I just think
That's it.
Uncharted was such a sequel. Like it really is like a cool. You like Uncharted? Here's the last big Uncharted, and it's everything you want it to be. It's an Uncharted game. It's absolutely beautiful. It's well acted. The set pieces are really fun. The multiplayer was pretty fun, to be honest, and it had the Lost Legacy spin-off sequel DLC thing that was good.
Yeah, that is good.
So yeah, I think Uncharted 4 for me was one of those games on the PS4 that one of the games I bought the console for, and it's I was just blown away by it. And I haven't, again, it's a one and done game. That's probably why I haven't played it again. I want to, but it's
I haven't
pretty
played
hard.
I haven't played it.
Trophies are pretty brutal to go for a platinum. And I'm not that. I don't have that in me anymore, especially not on my PS4, because my PS4 is unbearably loud, and that's really my biggest issue with the end of the PS4's life, is that it's not fun for me to play on it because it is so loud, and I'm just like, I'm just like, come on, man! Like, I really want to play Ghost of Tsushima, which would probably be on this list if I finished it. And I played like 5 hours of it, and I'm like, this is great, but I can't listen to that jet engine in my little flat with my girlfriend in the other room and my neighbours upstairs and stuff. I just can't do it. But maybe I'll just, they've moved out upstairs anyway, so maybe I'll get on that at some point.
Ghost of Shit is another good one.
They've added a lot of free DLC as well. Ratchet and Clank was great. I really like Days Gone. I know it's another one of the games we take the mick out of you for because you've bought it like 8 times or something.
I bought it twice.
But like, I don't like zombies. Like, I have like a rational fear of zombies, even though I'm 30 years old. But I played that game with a friend at the beginning of lockdown, and I really enjoyed it. When I say play with a friend, like we book clubbed it. Like we were both playing at the same time, talking about it and stuff. And I really enjoyed that game.
See,
it has a really surprisingly good story.
I was planning to go. That was like when I was planning to go back to on PS5 due to it being enhanced for PS5, which is about backwards compatibility. I can't even say it.
Compatibility.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I think you would enjoy it. I think genuinely would. I think it's one of those games that the story by the end is actually really deep and cool. Like it goes places. It does. You don't think it's going to go places, and it does go places. It's one of those. It's very underrated. I know it had a horrible review cycle where people were trying to beat it in like a week. It's just not that type of game. Like it's a long,
and I
build.
think it was buggy at launch.
It had a pre I played it a year and a half after the fact, in a PSN sale. But should we talk about the Kojima
Also, you had Spider-Man.
Hey, Spider-Man. You know what? I didn't like Spider-Man that much. I thought
Which
it was okay.
I did platinum.
Yeah, so. I finished it, but I haven't done the DLC, or I haven't played Miles Morales either. I was I think by the time I got to it, I just played Horizon, God of War, Batman Arkham Knight, and I was like, dude, this is too similar to everything else. And it's a good game. The story's really good. It's beautiful again, which is kind of the hallmark of the PS4. It's a very beautiful console, in terms of the graphics, and it's good. It's one of those ones. It's like, I think if I replay it at some point, or I get Miles Morales, I think I'll appreciate it more. But at the time, I've just been like God of War. I think God of War is great, but again, I don't think it's the best game ever. I think it's not as good as Horizon. It's good though. It's a very good game, but I'm like, I couldn't be asked to do all the side quests and stuff, and that was probably my problem with it. And I did like 2 Valkyries, and I was like, dude, I ain't getting my ass kicked like this every time.
I'm
trying to figure out what else we play in it.
Like Spider-Man, if I had to do a top 10 PS4 games or something, I think it would be on like the list, but it would be like 10th or 9th or something. It wouldn't be like near the top. So I think you had Gravity Rush remastered, but obviously that's a Vita game, really. You had the sequel,
The-
which I haven't played. Um,
I have the sequel. It's one that's on the list.
mm,
I really enjoyed the first one. I actually played the first one on Vita and on PS4.
mm,
Not that long ago. I think 2020 I played Gravity Rush Remastered, and it's a great game still. It's very different. It's a very
mm,
short game as well, which is obviously
mm.
nice.
And obviously,
What else is there? Go on.
yes, a weird one. You had like Concrete Genie, which is Pixel Opolis's second game, I feel. Obviously, you had some of those like weird games like that that Sony did, and obviously VR stuff like Astrobot. Um,
Yeah, VR is interesting because I still kind of want a VR. I know that
mm,
hasn't really been pushed much for PS5 because I'm
mm.
guessing they're making a new setup for it and kind of hoping they are.
I
I don't know though.
I think
I
most
don't know if they
probably
are.
like that.
But yeah. So you had VR quite a lot. You had the what was it called? You had a PlayStation VR show, didn't you, on your channel?
Yeah.
And you covered that quite a bit. I remember that
Mm,
was one of the big things for you for this gen in terms of YouTube
yeah.
wise. Was the your VR coverage was one of the bigger highlights of your channel, if I
Yeah.
remember myself. And I was
Yeah.
one of them, never got it. Never got it.
Yeah, it's a weird one, VR, because there is good content on there. The main problem, obviously, is the setup and space and the hassle and that of
Yeah.
it compared to other things. I think if I had to get VR now, I would most probably go the Quest route, because obviously you don't have to have any other hardware. You just have to
Yeah,
have
it
it,
has to be
and
wireless, man. Like you just
and
can't do
it's
any other way.
wireless.
Yeah.
So just pick it up, put it on your head, no different than these headphones really, and just play the game. But obviously, the only problem with that, it's powered by the headset itself, so PC based, you're not going to play Half-Life Alex on it. That's
No.
the only issue. The limited to the library of it.
Yeah, and I think for this generation, like we really expected VR to take off, and it hasn't.
Mm,
And I get why, and I can understand why. I think it's always
mm,
going to be a niche thing for like
mm,
the time that we're in. Like until the new consoles push it, or game developers want to push it. Like Half-Life Alyx came out and people liked it, but
mm.
I don't see anywhere near as many people talking about it. And I know it's because they didn't play it because there's just not as much VR. And
Yeah,
especially in a
yeah,
pandemic world, you can't like be like, right, so Chris, you come over mine, you try it, and you like it, and then you buy it because you just can't. You just it's not the world we live in at the moment, and so a game like that is going to fall behind. But I think for the
yeah,
PS4, me like to sort of end the PS4 section. I think the PS4 was very successful this time. Obviously financially, we're not talking about that. And like
no,
from my perspective, for the third-person games, it did very well. I think JRPGs yet again,
yeah.
Sony is the place to go. I think
That's
Switch now is really starting to
yeah.
maybe
It's one of
push ahead.
Yeah, it's one of my reasons why I'm so excited for the Switch next year. Nearly everything I play is a Japanese
Yeah,
RPG.
like I say,
Uh,
I'm playing Fire Emblem Three Houses at the minute, and I'm like, this game is ugly as hell, and it is
mm,
so good, you know. But the PS4 had the Trails of Cold Steel series we talked about on the podcast
yeah,
at the time. It's got all of the Tales of games. It's obviously got Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 15. You've got Trials of Mana. You've got Persona. You've got all these. There's literally Atelier. I could sit here and list off
yeah,
Nier Automata. All these games that were on PS4. I still think the biggest problem with the PS4 for me personally is I don't think Sony first party had enough variety outside of VR. In VR, I think
mm.
it's not a problem, but I think they didn't really have a great driving game. You know,
No,
did it because
I think
sport was
GTA
kind of
4,
online.
yeah, ended up being okay, I think, but not at the start when it came
Yeah,
out.
and Drive Club like I liked, but it wasn't good. You know, like, and I think
Yeah,
they should like. I personally wanted more of their sort of classic lineup.
mm.
You know,
Yeah,
like a bit
maybe
more platform.
GT7
Yeah, I would have preferred a GT7. I would have preferred,
will fix.
you know, the stuff like Sackboy that's coming now. I would have preferred 2 years
Mm.
ago, and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
it's a minor personal nitpick. It's
mm.
very clearly the best console of the generation in terms of pure games because almost everything you can play on Xbox you can also play on PlayStation. In terms of the
Yeah,
actual console, I hate it. I've always hated it. But the actual like games to play on the console, you can't argue with the PlayStation 4 this gen, personally. And I'm
mm.
sure you agree. I know you agree
Yeah,
because you actually like the DualShock 4 and all that kind of
yeah. I
stuff. So
like the Dual.
I don't.
I like the Dual.
It's a
Yeah, DualShock
controller.
4
It's
and
not a
EU
problem.
Life.
But, but yeah.
Yeah, both.
So we'll go directly onto Xbox because I think this is a much quicker section. So it's a very weird generation for the Xbox because really it's
Yeah.
2 generations. It's
Yeah.
pre-Spencer and post-Spencer, and
Yeah.
pre-Spencer is terrible,
Yeah.
and post-Spencer is really good, and that's kind of
Yes.
like in terms of games of the generation for the Xbox. Me personally, the Forza Horizon series is the star. Like the Forza Horizon series is flawless on Xbox One. 2, 3, 4, Fast and Furious, all the DLC, perfect. You can't argue with it. It's all good. It's the best of its type of genre, really. I mean, there's nothing anywhere close to as good as it.
No.
I think, weirdly, 2D platformer like indies, really good. Like both the Ori games, Cuphead, stuff like that. Even stuff like New Super Lucky, like New Lucky's Tale, I thought was really good. But really, where the Xbox has fallen down this gen for me is their main franchises haven't been as good. Halo hasn't been as good. Can't argue with it. Like Halo 5 was not a great game. Halo Massive Collection wasn't great for like 3 years. Like was really poor. Halo Wars 2 was fine. I enjoyed that game. Gears, I hated. I really didn't like Gears 4, and Gears 5 I think is okay. Gears Tactics I haven't played enough, but it's fun. But it's like, I think this gen, because of the beginning of Don Matrick and all the stuff, and then they had all these games that they had planned and they had to cancel them because they just weren't up to snuff. It's kind of been a slow burn. The Xbox's biggest win, unparalleled, is Game Pass, and Game Pass has changed games for not just for us. Like say Craig is a great example, because Craig could just, I want to play a game, because he's not as fussy as we are. He doesn't have to play every game when it comes out. He can be like, just wait. Oh, Wicked, Doom's on here now. Wicked, Yakuza's on here now. Wicked, Kingdom Hearts is on. You know what I mean? Like, you can just sort of see now going into the Series S and X, Series X, how Xbox is set up to succeed. You know, it's a different world now. It's not going to be console. It's not going to be console sales versus console sales anymore. Like, it's just not. It's going to be about services and stuff.
You actually say that. I did on the GNAME forum. We have like a prediction like thing every year, and for like Switch, I put Switch will sell over 90 million units. That's not much of a prediction. Like PS5 will be the fastest to 10 million, but Xbox I didn't even put. I put Xbox will have 30 million Game Pass subscribers in 2021. That's
I
like
think
the prediction.
The best selling console outside of the Switch will probably be the Series S, to be honest. Like, in terms of pure SKU, like, the S will outsell the X every day. Not just because they can make more of them, but anecdotally, I don't know anyone that has a PlayStation 5. We both work in retail, and in my retail shop, I know 20 people with a Series S, maybe one with a Series X in that shop, because £250 for a normal person is more than acceptable. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I know more people that bought Switches this year than new consoles. So it's I think both of the big consoles have a ways to go before they get it. And obviously, the minute you can't buy one. So
yeah.
But as for specific Xbox games this gen, I love Titanfall 1, which was the reason I bought the console. It's a really weird one because it's like so dated and like it's a shooter. It's kind of first, you know, it's kind of exclusive now, but it was on 360 or whatever. But I really enjoyed it. I played that game a lot. We talked about in episode 1, which I'm going to keep referencing so people can listen to it, how you were really into Destiny, which was really funny to me, as obviously like that. Both games just died a death. But I think the Xbox's biggest win is Game Pass, and you know the best game that isn't Forza is probably the Ori games. Like, if we're being honest, right? So great games. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very different type of game to Sony, which is you know, and we get into that. I know if Craig was here, be winding up about like Metacritic and stuff, and I do agree with him. I think it's easy for viewers to give a third-person action game like an 8 or a 9 because every game is a third-person action game, so there's a lot of comparisons. You're going to see two games and say this is an 8 and this is a 9 because you're comparing them. Whereas racing games, you're going to be like, well, there's only one good racing game, so I've got nothing to compare it to. You know what I mean? So that makes sense. Like, it's really hard to get an average game in your mind. If 8's an average, if there's only one game and it's the best game, it's hard to like compare. And I think that's probably the reason a lot of these niche genres have such varying Metacritics compared to third-person action games on PS4. So how about you, Chris? What is the Xbox One sort of game?
Yeah,
really...
the Xbox, the standout game is Horizon 4. That is miles the best Xbox game. yeah. Again, also it's the thing is like I don't think like I can't think what would be like the second best. Like you said, the Ori games, but now obviously they have come to like Switches. Well, I like there's a huge gulf I think between like the second best like Xbox game and like the first one. Like you said, Halo 5 was pretty bad. Gears 4 was not good. Gears 5 is pretty decent. Obviously, we talked about DLC. Multiplayer is fairly good as well on it as well. Like you said, the real winners, Game Pass. Like I am saying, like the December games I play, Call of Duty came. It's going to come to PlayStation at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if it even comes to Switch. I could see the Switch running it fine, but obviously it comes straight to Xbox and it went straight into Game Pass. So it's there.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
good.
Game Pass is really like you've got the value. It's like stuff like the Outer Worlds, which become like a pseudo Xbox games because they're on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Streets of Rage 4, Dragon Quest 11S. It's just come directly to Game Pass at launch. Bear in mind that was only on Switch before that version of the game. So to get that on Xbox, you've got the Yakuza games are the big success story this gen. I think Xbox have started to push Japanese games a lot. Like
that's always
all
been
the Kingdom Hearts games, most of the Final Fantasy games, like all the Yakuza games by like next month.
that's still the biggest. It's better now the Japanese support on Xbox, but that's still my sort of biggest gripe with the Xbox One Series X family. Obviously, I talked about like 2021 is like the year of the Switch for me. That's kind of true because I don't have a PlayStation. So Persona 5 Strikers, I'm going to buy on Switch because I don't have a PS5/PS4 to play it on. It's on PS4. It's on Switch.
It's not on Xbox. No.
And it's on PC. It's on PC. It's on Switch, and it's on PlayStation 4. Obviously, you play it on PS5 for about. It's not on Xbox. That's one example I can think of. Shin Megami Tensei 3 HD. It's on PS4. It's on Switch, not on Xbox. So obviously it's better. Like Scarlet Nexus is coming to PS5, PS4, and like the Xbox family. So it is getting them, but it's still like
it's really Atlas. Weirdly, considering that Sega are supporting the Xbox Series X so much with Yakuza. It is strange to me that there must be a deal. There must be exclusivity.
There's a few other like Atelier Ryza 2 comes out this January. It's on Switch. It's on PC. It's on the PS4 and PS5. Not on Xbox. It's the only system it's not on.
NIS?
No,
over here?
It's Konami. Not Konami. It's no, it's not. It's Koei Tecmo, I should say. Sorry.
Oh, Temiko. Okay, yeah. It's again. I think it's getting better. Like you're gonna get Tales of the Arise. Yeah. It's Scarlet Nexus. You've had just had Code Vein. It's just I guess if those games sell, like obviously Yakuza's a timed exclusive on next gen, which is weird to me. I don't get it because it's on PS4, so I don't understand. And it doesn't look that much better on Series X than it does on PS4. So whatever. But yeah, so I think Xbox One is a short. I mean, it sounds like we're kind of shitting on the Xbox a bit, and I don't think we are. I just think it's a different. It was very much for me the multi-platform system this gen, and it was and I will argue anyone who wants to question that it's the best multiplayer machine. Xbox Live is just better than PSN. Just is. It's just easier to do stuff, especially with cross-play with PC, especially
that helps
with phones and stuff as well. Since PlayStation phased out Vita, it's kind of been, for me personally, Xbox Live is just a better system. It's just if they took more from Sony and vice versa, then it would be better. Like if they were both pretty much the same service, it would be fine with me. But Xbox Live is what it is, and like you look at the most played games this gen on that console. For me, it's Rocket League, it's Titanfall, it's Destiny, it's FIFA, it's Call of Duty, it's stuff like that. Not Fortnite because I didn't play it. PUBG, it's those type of games you can play with your friends. Again, games that like their games are good at. Forza was really good at it. Halo was really good at it. Gears was really good at it. So if Xbox can add these sort of like third and first person action games that the Sony has, then I think this gen will be really good. But we're not worried about this gen, Chris. We're not worried about that this week. We're worried about last gen. So we'll move swiftly on to my favourite and your favourite as well. It's the Wii U.
Yep.
The sad tale of the Wii U. A very underappreciated console, considering that all of its games are now on Switch and everyone loves them, but I didn't love them when they were on Wii U.
Yeah, it's weird that, isn't it? Like,
more people bought them. It's honestly, as much as it annoys me, more people have the Switch. That's why. If more people had the Wii U, they'd like the Wii U.
Mm.
It's just it had bad
Really,
marketing, and
yeah,
it's been talked to death. Everyone knows what's wrong with it.
everyone still thinks it's a add-on for the Wii, even 8 years on or whatever it is. It's like it's
Yeah.
so weird.
It's-
It's just
But
they should have called it
I love.
anything
They should
else.
call it the Wii 2 if they had to
Yeah,
keep the Wii name. But
yeah,
anyway, the Wii U was a great console in terms of games. Like, we're just talking about games for this gen. Mario Kart 8, probably my favorite game of the whole gen. I
yeah.
love Mario Kart 8. It's great. Bayonetta 2, incredible. Wonderful 101, incredible. Mario 3D World,
Splatoon,
great. Splatoon, incredible. Xenoblade Chronicles
Xenoblade,
X, great. Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei, whatever, Tokyo Mirage Sessions,
uh,
great game.
yeah. Breath of the
Even
Wild,
Breath of the Wild again, like, I loved it and played it on Wii U. I know you didn't like it, but like
yeah,
it's an incredible game.
yeah.
What else is there?
Best
Even
one of
stuff
the
like
best games
the
of all time is the Wii U game, really. So
yeah, it's true. It won Game of the year it came out.
yeah,
You
yeah,
had the two Zelda HD ports were great. Like stuff
mm,
you wouldn't expect from Nintendo, like Hyrule Warriors and Pokken Tournament were really great surprises on the Wii U. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker was a great
yeah.
game on the Wii U. Mario Maker was a phenomenon when it came out.
Yoshi,
Smash Brothers, Yoshi's Woolly World,
mm.
Paper
The
Mario Color
Kirby game
Splash.
was,
I know everyone takes the mick out of me on the forum for this, but I genuinely love Paper Mario Color Splash. I know it's not an RPG, it's an adventure game, whatever. Really funny, really good game, and has the Virtual Console, which
yeah.
the Switch still doesn't
It's
have.
miles better than the Switch because I tweeted and I'm tempted because it's the 35th anniversary of Castlevania this year to
Yeah,
like play the Castlevania games. I think it means that I have like 15 of them playable on like Xbox One due to the collection and backwards compatible with Lords of Shadows and stuff like that. But the DS and GBA games are like cost a fortune. Like the cheapest one on eBay is, I think it has the first one on DS, but I'm not sure. That's like 60 quid. Yeah, they're on the Wii U Virtual Console. They're like 6 quid. So it's not too bad. So, but
yeah,
again,
I
why?
like
What?
the Wii U for that a lot.
Yeah, I was like, why aren't they not on Switch? So daft.
Who knows? Like, honestly, it's baffling sometimes. It's some of the things that Nintendo does, but it's Nintendo. They just beat to their own drum, you know. But yeah, the
Yeah.
Virtual Console on the Switch on the Wii U is still great. I mean, I use it for for GBA stuff like the GBA Fire Emblem games and
Yeah.
Advance Wars and all that kind of stuff. And I've used it in the past for TurboGrafx games. And when I was reviewing those, I basically just bought them on the Wii U because it was TurboGrafx games are hard to come by over here.
Yeah.
Even with the Super Graphics Mini and stuff, it's
I got one of them. I should really play mine.
well, if we had to talk about all the stuff that we bought that we should play, Chris, this would be a much longer podcast, wouldn't it? But,
Yeah.
oh god. But yeah, the Wii U. So the Wii U is one of those things, man. Like, I think if you had a Wii U, and you like Nintendo games, you had a good time. Like, there were some really good games on it. There's some games we haven't mentioned, like Donkey Kong was great on it as well.
And some of the
for me,
third-party games were good. Rayman Legends is like
Yeah,
really
Rayman
good.
Legends was great. Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge was great. Even the stuff like the Deus Ex port was really good. And what's the racing game? Need for Speed Most Wanted was really good on it. For me, it was how I started playing the Wii, because I didn't play the Wii during the Wii's lifestyle because I was at university at the time. So I was like, I was like an edgy teenager, man. I wanted to play my 360, but I've recently picked up stuff like Skyward Sword, and I've played stuff like Zack and Wiki on it, and the Mario Galaxy 2, and that's how I was playing Xenoblade until the remaster came out. So yeah, I think the Wii U is my favorite console of all time, and I've said this before, and I mean it. Like, it holds a special place for me anyway, because it's when I started dating my girlfriend, and like our whole relationship is the Wii U and 3DS. So like I have a special place for that console. But yeah, I think it did fine. It sold poorly. Everyone's gonna forget about it, but in 20 years' time, my 75 games that over there will be worth quite a bit. So
yeah, I think that's the problem. The Wii is sort of going to be erased from history due to all its games being ported to the Switch. There's like 4 or 5 decent games left on the Wii U that haven't come to the
there
Switch.
really isn't a lot. If it got Virtual Console and Xenoblade X, like, I don't think anyone would miss. Like, no one's gonna miss Star Fox Zero and Tank. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like,
Project Zero
Land's great, but
is the one I want ported just because it's
that's
expensive.
gonna get ported though, right? I keep reading that's getting ported, so
But yeah, I think it's because we've like erased from like Nintendo's history, and like people, it's like it went Wii to Switch, nothing happened in between.
No, please don't look at the Wii U. Please don't look at its 13 million
Yeah,
sales. But hey
yeah,
ho, that's the Wii U. So that's the three big boys. So I think
mm,
overall, like I said, the Wii U is my favorite console of the
mm,
three of those three big
yeah,
boys, and
yeah,
I like all of them. I played all of them a lot. I think this is my, like I said to you before, this is my favorite home console gen
mm,
since the PS2, GameCube, Dreamcast, and Xbox era, because they're
yeah,
very
yeah,
similar. They're very
mm,
similar generations. They're all kind of the same sort of console, but they have like the exclusives are good. Again, nothing against the 360. I like the 360. I thought the PS3 was okay, but I didn't like the Wii. So it's like, you know
see,
what I mean? It kind of balances out.
yeah. It's a weird one because I've recently like ranked all the consoles when you took the mickey of me because like I put the Xbox One really low, mainly due to again you're saying like the split between Don Matrick and Spencer, and it's mainly more Matrick than Spencer, unfortunately, and obviously with
Yeah.
the exclusives not being that great, um, like Wii U, I had quite um high on that list due to like you said the exclusives being so good on it.
Yeah, I think the Xbox One for like you ranking a list is the anti-Chris console because
Mm,
its biggest strengths are not things that you want. So the biggest strength for the Xbox is backwards compatibility, it's Game
mm,
Pass,
yeah,
it's ease of use. You know that like, it's not exclusive games, which is what you look for in a console, which is
yeah,
fine. But like that's the reason, isn't it? Like I think if you
yeah.
only had an Xbox One, you hadn't played a 360, for example, it'd be a completely different story if you'd be like, oh
Yeah,
fucking hell, I've got 1,000 360 games. But we don't, like I said, you don't buy an Xbox One specifically to buy 360 games. It's a bonus. Like
mm.
we love the Wii U, but you can't buy a Wii U just to play Virtual Console. You know what I mean? Like it needs to have something
Well,
else
they
to
are they are
keep
pretty
you.
cheap now. I've seen one today on Facebook, like retro training groups. It's the white Wii U for 45 quid. So
Yeah, I mean more like when it was around, like, as
yeah,
opposed to like
yeah,
now. But obviously it's sadly dead. But yeah, so that was the main three. So it's a pretty good. I think home console this gen was pretty rad.
mm,
Like I said, we did half of the time of this whole gen we were doing on and off doing Pod of War. So
mm,
it was mainly and bear in mind it's been primarily a PlayStation podcast,
yeah.
which is funny now because obviously you don't even have a PlayStation, and I don't really
Um,
play it as much
no,
as I should.
no,
But
I. And
you're
even
an
if I
Xbox.
did, I was obviously even if I did, let's say I got PS5 tomorrow, I would only play it for my exclusives. I would play all my third parties, most probably on the Xbox due to. Well, saying it is a weird one. Most part they do run better. There's a few exceptions that we see from Digital Foundry where they run better on PS5, but due to backwards compatibility, Game Pass, and most of the time running better, it mostly would be my main console, even with a PS5 now, and the PS5 should be
Yeah.
exclusive. Hence why I said I'm waiting for like another 7. I've got 3. I'm waiting for another 7 like,
Yeah. Would you
exclusives
say
to come.
this is the generation that's really changed? I think it's really changed you as a gamer, right? So like
Mm,
so this is purely off like watching episode one. So when we first started the show, it was
yeah,
really all about new physical games coming to the platforms that we're playing. So come to the
yeah,
Vita, come to the PS4. Whereas I think since Game Pass has been a thing, since backwards compatibility's been a thing, it's kind of changed like
yeah. It's
your certainly
certainly
for
how.
you. I think maybe less so for me, but I think
Mm,
certainly for you, it's completely changed the type of
yeah,
game, like how you how you buy and play games, which I think is difficult. I think might
yeah,
make it difficult for you to enjoy it as much as perhaps you would have done before. If that makes sense, because you're now getting 100 games a day, and you're
mm,
like, you know, you like to play all of the games so you can talk about them or you can tweet
mm,
about it or whatever. And I think that's
yeah,
difficult.
and
I think for the people like us that are
yeah,
used to it.
and obviously I'd like most genres willing to try most things that come out, but has certainly changed. Like when Nintendo do an indie world showcase, I watch it like that's coming to Game Pass, that's coming to Game Pass, that's mostly going to come to Game Pass. So it has changed my view of like I would have maybe bought that game on the Switch, for instance, if it's on just on the Switch. Well, now I'm just going to
Yeah,
either play it on Game Pass or wait until it comes to the Game Pass. So it has changed on that sort of thing. Hence why I said with the PS5, it's just going to be like, okay, I know the 70 quid, but I'm going to buy like one PS5 game a month, maybe 2 months or 3 months or something like that. It's going to be like one every 3 months. That's going to be it, and then back to the back to the Xbox, whatever it's been, sort of thing. So
Do you think that makes it less exciting for you? Do you think that
it does.
that maybe makes it a little bit less than, say, even last gen, that that you can't, it's difficult to enjoy games as much because you feel like you need to play every game, because it's, like I said, games like Game Pass throws you out 5 games a month, that you must play new games and stuff.
It just show, like you said, and just send out quite a few games, sort of thing. But yeah, most of them, like, with obviously being quite a few indies, mainly you do get like the one big sort of game every now and again. They are quite much shorter, like Call of the Sea, for instance, is like 5 hours long. So it's a game you can very much play, like I said, around Assassin's Creed. So Assassin's Creed was the big game, and then Call of like Sea, and that was like around, the game around that sort of thing.
So while we're talking about it, we might as well just continue to talk about it. So like for the future, say for this now, so we've talked about the main 3 consoles in the past, and so for the future of games, for you personally, like for me personally, I've decided early on I've got a digital Xbox, and that's going to be my Game Pass and digital games. But realistically, I'm not going to buy many digital games. Whereas I think the Switch is now going to become my physical collector's editions, like that kind of thing, because I still like doing that, and I really miss doing it. Like when we used to do it on the show, we used to talk about the Vita in particular. It was that excitement of getting a physical new game is still like, still like my favorite thing about games. As weird as that sounds, like it's like, especially in the pandemic, you can't do anything else. So if I want to go and treat myself, I want to go out and buy a video game. I find it now that really the only place I can do that is my Switch at the moment. Like, I kind of could do it on my PlayStation, but I just don't trust my PlayStation because it's so loud. So it's like, so this is how I'm basically now attacking this gen, is the Xbox is basically just my Game Pass and multiplayer machine. Like, I'm not excited for anything coming this year in terms of to pre-order, like, because I'm like, I'll get it in a sale, or I'll get it on Game Pass. Like, I know Yakuza 7's coming to Game Pass. It's gonna happen.
It mostly will,
game. So I'll just wait and I'll play it on Game Pass.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas if that game was, if I had a PS5 instead of an Xbox, I would be like, I'm pre-ordering Yakuza because I'm really excited for it. So I'm trying now to change how I approach games. Basically now, like I said to you, the Switch is basically going to become my collecting console. It's going to be that console that I'm excited for, because it's the non-social console for me. It's the, I want to play a video game console. So, and obviously I think that's pretty much for, till the PS5 gets back in stock. I think that's going to be somewhat similar for you, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same with me. For looking forward to stuff, even basically for like the first 3 months, I don't think there's anything I'm really buying on Xbox. So it's either going to be, if anything I get on Xbox, it's either going to be something that comes to Game Pass, something gets released digitally that hasn't got a date yet. But I am looking at stuff I want to get for the Switch, for instance, already. Even the rest of the year, it's mainly Switch stuff. There's things like Halo not play, but obviously that's just going to be in Game Pass. There will be obviously There will obviously be big games that aren't, like Resident Evil Village won't be in Game Pass right away. Like 7's only just come to Game Pass, so that I would have to buy, obviously, like physical, digital, for the Xbox or PS5, depending if I got one whenever that game comes out, for instance. So yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a very different year this year, I think, for games. And obviously, if we keep doing the podcast like we hopefully will, then it'll be interesting to see how our gaming shakes out. Because I could see personally, I could see me basically just being a Switch guy for a couple of months now. I mean, I think I've got 4 Switch games pre-ordered for the first quarter of the year.
Yeah, I haven't pre-ordered any yet because I am waiting and hoping they do a Monster Hunter Special Edition.
Oh, the console, yeah. I've got the collector's edition of the game pre-ordered. I have Persona 5 Strikers pre-ordered. I have 3D World pre-ordered, and my girlfriend has the Amiibo pre-ordered, and I have Bravely Default pre-ordered.
Nice.
But again, that's going to have a digital edition. So, like that will get a collector's edition at some point, so I'll have to change that. But I don't know why I want to get those games, because I know at least 2 of them are 60 hours long, and 3D World I've played before, but
yeah.
Why not? I've just bought like 4 Switch games as well, which doesn't help. But anyway, We'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll talk very briefly about the 3DS and the Vita.
yeah.
I think really
I got,
the
I got my,
you got yours
I got
here.
my free. There's my
I
3DS.
think can I grab my 3DS? It's my 3DS. I have a. So this is one for the forum. This is a. As that shows on camera, is a Monster Hunter sort of a case for my new 3DS.
And there's one of my Vitas.
And my Vita is charging behind me. But yeah, I think this might be controversial, but I think this is by far the best generation for handhelds. If you're not including the Switch this time, and even then, I personally think the Vita and the 3DS are better than the Switch at the moment for me. Because it's either this or the DS and PSP, right? Because I think the Game Boy is okay, but I think the Game Boy has a lot more nostalgia than people will give it credit for. Because I think personally, like, the Game Boy is Tetris, Pokemon, and like a couple of Zelda games, and everything else is just kind of like bad NES games, you know. But the 3DS, man, the 3DS had a great like amount of games on it. The Vita, I mean, how can we talk about Pod of War without the Vita? You know what I mean? Like indie games on the Vita were insane. Japanese games on the Vita were insane. And the few sprinkles of Sony games were also very high quality. Stuff like Uncharted Golden Abyss on a Vita. You know, my favorite game of all time, Persona 4 Golden, is on Vita, and it's incredible. Wish it would come to every other platform, but it hasn't. Why hasn't it? Why? Why?
I don't know. It's only on Steam.
It's on Steam. Bring it to fucking. Literally, this sounds stupid. If they brought that to PS5, that Steam version of Persona 4 Golden, I'd be tempted. I would be tempted. But yeah, Vita and the 3DS, incredible libraries. So, is there any sort of specific games that really jump out at you, other than Persona, that jump out at you, Chris?
With the 3DS, it's a weird one because I've never been a big handheld person. So you're going for like the generation before the DS and the PSP. I did not play much DS at all. Maybe the Pokemon games. Played more PSP, and I got quite a big PSP collection. I've suddenly picked up a few PSP games.
Very cheap.
The Vitas,
that's why they're very cheap.
Yeah, they are pretty cheap. There's a few expensive ones. Castlevania, for instance, which I've had for a while, so pick that. Yeah, the PSP, like you said, I mentioned earlier, Gravity Rush was really good on it. Some of the ports, like, really good. Like, Need for Speed Most Wanted was really good on the Vitas. People still play that now online. The Call of Duty, the Call of Duty is weird because it reviewed really badly. And I think the single player is bad, but people still play that online, and the online multiplayer is actually pretty fun. It's not Vita TV compatible, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah,
so Killzone, I feel.
Killzone Mercenary is the best. It's the best first-person shooter that Sony have put out this gen.
Yeah,
it's better than anything they put out on PS4.
Yeah, they only really put out Killzone, didn't they? Shadowfall.
Yeah, Killzone Mercenary is so good. Even still, is so good.
Yeah, and then you got like the weird Japanese like stuff like Persona 4 Golden and quite a lot, and then like the indies. So quite a few of my platinums come from due to
this was the rise of the Ratalika and the My Name Is Mayo and stuff, which is funny. Like I get it, it's really funny, and like maybe it's a bit overused. I think everyone who has a Vita or has a PS4 was overused for the Ratalika stuff, but I get it. I think really indies were the big thing that the Vita, had Shovel Knight. So I know the 3DS and the Wii U did as well, but it had Shovel Knight, it had Stardew Valley, it has Axiom Verge, it has Severed, which I absolutely adored. It had Guacamelee, which was great. Had the SteamWorld games, which were great. It had, I could just literally sit here and list off. It had Darkest Dungeon, all these games,
and still got games,
and still gets physical games, even though it's somehow. Obviously, the rise of Limited Run. Really, I think the Vita is the one that really pushed that company to where it is now. And a lot of the games you're getting now on PS4 and Switch, especially Switch, really begun their lives as Vita developers. NIS is another one. Xseed is another one.
There's a lot of games.
Was amazing on it, and the Trails of Cold Steel games.
Yeah, there's a lot of games like going back to Persona 5, Striker Strength. I feel if there was a Vita 2 or something, it wouldn't be on Switch, it'd be on PS4 and Vita 2 or Vita.
I wish Sony would do a handheld. I wish they would do a PS4 powered handheld. I really do.
It just felt like I'm like that's why it's not on Xbox. Like this is the console version on PS4, just the handheld version on Switch.
Yeah, I mean,
That
I
sort of
think the
that.
reason they're not on Xbox is because Japanese
That
developers have
yeah,
had no reason to develop for Xbox.
mm,
Really,
yeah,
like
uh,
now they're going to start getting paid to do it, which is
mm,
why I think you'll see more. But like
yeah,
the Xbox One sold like hilariously bad. Like the Xbox Series X and S has probably almost outsold the Xbox One in Japan.
mm,
Like it sold, it was like like hundreds a week. It was like
mm,
selling less than like the PSP and the DS and like the PS2. Like it sold like nothing in
yeah,
Japan, which is I think why. But the
yeah,
Vita again, before the Switch, the Vita was the platform. If you wanted
yeah,
to buy, if you wanted to play JRPGs and indie games, you had a Vita. Like you had a Vita. Like I
yeah,
know so many people that like have their own like YouTube channels for like game music, and I know people that have got into writing for video games and stuff. That like yeah, like I got started basically being in the Vita community, which I think the Vita community was like the best community
yeah,
around at the time. I think Stadia has kind of overtaken the niche community
mm,
now, but
yeah,
at the time, as obviously we were doing our show. We had
mm,
PS I Love You.
mm,
The first rendition of that was
yeah,
really until the Vita. The Vita's death was basically the end of the Colin Moriarty sort of age of
mm,
PS I Love You, and until it's thankfully been brought back now. And
yeah,
it's silly stuff like that that really like keeps the generation going. You know, like for me, the
mm,
360 generation is Screw Attack and Achievement Hunter and stuff. So for this gen, it was PS I Love You, it was Beyond, it was
mm,
Secret Symbols and stuff. So, but yeah, I think the Vita, if you included the Vita in overall, it'd be very close to the Wii U for me for favorite, because I played it a lot.
yeah,
3DS was a great console. I don't take anything away from Pokemon or Zelda or Mario or all of your Nintendo games you played on it. Some good RPGs on there as well, like Persona Q 1 and
yeah,
2, the Etrian Odyssey games, Shin Megami Tensei, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I think
yeah,
for JRPGs alone, you know, almost all of those games are getting ported to Switch now. You know, like Ys,
yeah,
Memories of Celceta, and Trails of Cold Steel, all those Disgaea, all those games are now reappearing as Switch games. Because
yeah,
but yeah, I think it's been a good gen, Chris. I think it's been a very strong
yeah,
gen.
yeah. It has been pretty decent.
So,
I
oh,
I still
I haven't
think
talked this
the
much in so long.
like the Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox, and Cube gen would be my favorite, just because the Cube's my favorite
It's,
console of all
yeah,
time.
I think it's
And then the
difficult,
Dreamcast,
especially with
Dreamcast,
nostalgia as well.
and then my Dreamcast is like my second favorite system. So yeah,
Yeah, I think it's difficult as well. Like, I think give it another 10 years and you can look back at it differently. And as well as, I think the hardest thing is that this gen hasn't really ended, because next gen is just this gen, but better.
mm,
It's
yeah,
the most like that it's ever been. Like the jump from the PS4 Pro to the PS5 is not that different, nowhere near as different as PS3 to PS4. You know, in
yeah,
terms of services, in terms of even graphics and stuff, it's just not different. It's as different. It's different, but like the Xbox is literally the same UI. You know, like stuff like, and
yeah,
PlayStation's is different, but it's not that different. You know,
yeah,
what you can do on the consoles are the same. Like the PS3
mm,
there's lots of stuff the PS4 could do, the PS3 couldn't, and there's lots of stuff the Xbox One could do, the 360 couldn't. But
yeah.
that is
It's gonna be a
you know,
while until
you're
this
looking at
gen
years on you, like,
feels near.
and
I
we
think
don't know.
Sony, I think Sony will get there. Like first, like I said, the controller is really good, and have some exclusives already. Like Demon Souls is only on PS5. I think, and like Ratchet is only on PS5 coming. So I think Sony will get there first, just
I
to.
think
But
Xbox don't
uh,
care. That's the
yeah,
difference. I
that's
think. So I think
yeah,
Xbox don't care. Like they are
yeah,
playing a different game. I
yeah.
think it's
I've
interesting because it's
I've
different,
said
but
it.
it's like
I've said it before. It's because you go back to like like I'm saying, like the PS2, Xbox, Cube, and Dreamcast. Like Cube's my favorite. They all were pretty similar. PS2 is just like miles ahead of them, sort of thing. Like they're all doing something different this gen. Like Switch is completely different to PS5, and PS5
yeah.
is different to what the Xbox is doing. It's
And you
like
think as well, we've got the Cloud Wars that have just
yeah,
begun as well. So you've got Luna and Stadia and XCloud and GeForce and all this,
yeah.
and it's be interesting this time. I think it's going to be very different. I think if you like video games and you're like a hardcore game guy, I think
I think this is
PlayStation
the
and
gen.
Nintendo is probably the one that you'll stick to.
Mm, yeah, but I do think this is like I've always had them since the Cube. Like, I think this is the generation where you can actually properly justify having them due to them all offering something different as well. Like I said, with like the subscription of Game Pass and that. So I've seen other people. I think it was Tim Gettys or something said it like Xbox is like Netflix, PlayStation is like cinema, and that's no like dig on either of them sort of
No.
thing. But like you sub to all this content, but they offer two different things. So you're subbing to this content that's thing, and you get new like I just started the new Sabrina series, and there's a new Transformers series of just on Netflix, So it has its own content and all this thing. But occasionally you go to like we can't now, but you go cinema like once a month or watch this new film now and again, and sort of thing. I think it's like that sort of like comparison you're trying to use.
Yeah, they're playing different games.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
So with the Xbox, you don't even need to buy an Xbox. Like
Yeah.
you can play
Yeah.
xCloud on your phone now. By the end of the summer, you'll be able to play it on your PC, and you'll
Yeah.
just have to get like if you've got a Chrome browser, you can play Xbox. And
Yeah.
But
again,
I think for me, oh, go on.
Yeah, going to like the Netflix and cinema thing, that's also sort of next. Netflix wants how many subscribers have they got paying their £10 a month or whatever. But Warner Brothers obviously it's slightly changed that. Want how many people have gone seen Warhammer 84 in cinema, sort of thing. It's like box office. This has done X amount in the box office. This is how many tickets we've sold. And Netflix, this is how many subscribers we got. This is how much money we're bringing in. I think the like comparison as well. Like Xbox can like how many subscribers have we got? We've got our 30 million subscribers paying our £15 a month. That's good. PlayStation can be like, we need God of War to sell 10 million. That's the plan, or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, it's very different because I think companies want different things and need different things. So like, if a PlayStation comes out and doesn't hit 5 million that it needs to hit, that's a bigger problem I think than if Xbox releases a game that isn't that good because it's all about subscribers. So it's a different. It's going to affect development and it's going to affect a lot of things, which is fascinating. It's why personally for me, I went for the Game Pass Xbox console because I know long term that if I want to upgrade that console, they'll do a Series S2 and I'll buy that console. I have no need to buy the £500-600 box for Xbox because of the nature of the type of releases that they have, because they're doing Game Pass, because it's that type of thing. I have no interest in spending the big money on it. But in 2-3 years time, maybe I'll want that again. I'll buy a PlayStation 5. I'll buy a Switch Pro or something, and that'll fill that need for me. Whereas this time, I don't think personally this time I need to be buying every game on every console because Xbox has taken that away. Like I never need to do that on Xbox ever again because they've taken that away from me. I don't need to. It's a subscription, so my money will go in different places. Now that's great for gaming because it's a different option. Like we're 30-year-old men that have full-time jobs, so we can afford to do whatever we want to do. Truth is, I'll probably save more money this way than I would have done last gen when I was buying every Wii U game. I was buying most of the Vita games. I was buying big PlayStation games. I was buying Xbox games. You know what I mean? Whereas this time I'm like, I could probably not buy an Xbox game for the next 12 months. I probably like, literally even third party. Like I can wait. I'll wait for it for a sale. There'll be enough coming to Game Pass, even like Cyberpunk, for example. I know it's bad or whatever, like ignoring the reviews.
Yeah.
Which is on Game Pass, and I have a backlog of 200 games. Do I need to buy Cyberpunk right now? No, I don't. Like I personally can wait. I'm not fussed about. I'm beyond the age now where I'm like I need to talk to my friends about it because I just don't need to. Like it's not a game. I like first-person shooters, but not enough to be like, oh yeah, I want to play that game at £50 and take a risk on it. So I think it's a very fascinating sort of dichotomy now for people. It's like, right, so you, for example, people at work that just buy FIFA and just buy Call of Duty, that their life isn't going to change. But like if you've got an Xbox, I'll get a discount on FIFA because if I get Game Pass, maybe I'll play. They're not going to play Dragon Quest, but maybe I'll play Football Manager or something because that's on there, or that'll go onto Game Pass or whatever. And then if you've got the PlayStation, I've always bought PlayStation games. I'll just buy it the way I've always bought it. And that's how I like to buy my games, and that's an option. Eventually, when more of these people start understanding cloud, I think that might change it. But I personally don't think in the next half a decade are we going to get to a point where Stadia has 10 million and xCloud has 10 million of, like, it's not going to happen. I don't think we're going to get to those numbers. Certainly not in Europe and North America. Maybe in like India and China, in like Brazil, but I don't think in the main hubs of Europe and America is it going to get crazy. I just don't. I think if you want to buy games, you just buy the games. We live in countries that can, you know, economically it's fine for us to go and buy a games console. So I think in India and China and places like that where there's so many more people and there's so much more of a sort of mobile sort of thing, I think those systems will do better. But I think it's very interesting. It's going to be very different this time. I think the PlayStation 5 will sell more consoles than the Xbox, but the Xbox doesn't care. That's the difference. Switch will probably outsell all of them, and then the next console will probably just be an improved Switch. I can't see them going back to a very different console.
I can't see how Nintendo, because they would have to split both. They would have to make a handheld again and make a console again. I can't.
At most, they'll make a Switch 2 that play Switch games, but there's specific Switch 2 games, and they'll do that in like 4 years. There's no need for them now. As soon as it stops selling, they can do it. It's the same thing that happened with the Wii, but like they're selling games this time. Like people are buying games. Like even games you don't like. Hyrule Warriors sold like 3 million copies in like 3 days or something stupid. And you're like, fucking like Animal Crossing's done 26 million in less than a year. 26 million copies in less than a year for a niche animal. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy the kind of stuff that's happening now. And I think it's very interesting. But that was last gen. We've talked about new gen, Chris. This is Pod of War season 2021 episode 1. We're going to be back next week, I think, and we'll have some different topics. We'll talk about some news. We'll rewatch some old rewatch some old Pod of War and see how it goes. But it's been fun, Chris. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes. Yeah, no problem.
And everyone out there, stay safe, stay sexy, and we will see you next week.
Bye.